Welcome to another Telltale Books video. I'm Greg and I'm here to talk about somebody a little different this time. And a story that's a little different this time. The author is Kristin Kathryn Rusch, or Rusch, not sure. And the story that I'm going to talk about is Diving into the Wreck. And how I got into reading this story is that the current issue of Asimov's science fiction magazine has a new story by Kristin Kathryn Rusch. And I want to read that whole issue of Asimov's and report to it as part of my magazine reports. I'm hoping I'll get to it this month. We're kind of running behind. But I want to try to. But first, I learned about this whole big, long series of stories that Rusch has written titled Diving Universe. And it started with Diving into the Wreck. And I was curious. I'm sure I've read short stories by Miss Rusch in the past, but I don't remember. If I did, it was a very long time ago. I do remember her as the editor of fantasy and science fiction for a while. And of course, she was one of the editors of Pulp House magazine, which was a really excellent magazine. It was revived in recent years, and she was editor recently too. She just announced she's stepping down from the Pulp House magazine revival just like last week. So I wanted to go back and read something else of her, something older by her, and specifically wanted to check out this Diving Universe, see what it's all about. The very first story in this whole series is called Diving into the Wreck. It was published in December 2005 in Asimov's Science Fiction magazine. I got a hold of it in this Neil Clark anthology titled The Final Frontier, an excellent anthology with a lot of really good space opera stories in it. Space opera and space science fiction stories with just an amazing list of authors: Greg Egan, James Patrick Kelly, Nancy Kress, Ken Liu, Kristin Kathryn Rusch, Michael Swanwick, Peter Watts, and more. Great book. Only available in trade paperback. I like hardcovers, but oh well. I got a hold of this. I'll just take good care of it. The basic story of Diving into the Wreck involves this team of salvagers. They're going out into the universe. They're out in deep space, out away from where there's a lot of human colonization. And they are out there and they come upon this very old spaceship. And it turns out to be a really, really ancient warship that has a very specific and very dangerous type of technology. And they're interested in this because, first of all, it's such an old ship. It comes from a period of time thousands of years in the past. We're way off into the far future in this story, which I love. And the spaceship comes from thousands of years into the past. And it has a technology that people have been trying to reproduce, though a lot of people don't want it reproduced because it's apparently very dangerous. But the attempts at reproducing it have been unsuccessful. They can't figure out how they did it in the past. So to find this ship, first of all, for just its pure historical value, and second of all, for all that wealth of technological information they could pull from it, these salvagers are going to become filthy rich. Okay, so they're drooling over this. But the lead person, I don't think she's really called captain, the lead person is mainly interested in the history and the why and the mystery of this ship, how it got where it was, why it still exists, what happened with this technology, why can't they figure this technology out, and why is it considered so dangerous? And she wants to learn about all these things. And so she investigates. And it has some really interesting turns to the story with a very, very cool ending. I won't blow it from here. That's all I'm going to say about the story. I suggest you find a copy, either of that Asimov's, or I believe she has it in collections. She expanded it into a whole novel. I want to get a hold of that and read it and compare it to the short work. Because this short work, I'm not going to call this a top tale, but it was really, really good. I loved it. And I'm not, at this time, planning on doing a deep dive through everything I can get my hands on by Kathryn Rusch. She wrote a lot, like way over 400, and she's still writing. Okay, she's still alive and still writing, and she's just so extremely prolific. And I got so many other authors that I'm doing that with that I got to back off a little bit. So I am going to look into more works by Kathryn Rusch, including that one in the current issue of Asimov Science Fiction. I still do want to try and fit that in this month of February. So have you read Diving into the Wreck? Have you got any other information, tidbits, thoughts about Kathryn Rusch and her Diving Universe series? What do you think is the best work from that series? I'm interested in that because I've only read this one story so far. Leave them in the comments. I'm interested. I want to hear it, and I want everybody else to be able to hear it too. And come on back for more. I'm sure I'll be reading some other Kathryn Rusch works and doing videos on them. I just don't know when. I just don't know what or when at this time. But I'm doing a lot of other authors, going through their complete works and reporting on a lot of other stuff that I've been getting interested in. Samantha had bugged me to read, well, she wants me to read the second of the Stormlight Archive book. Stormlight Archive Volume 5 is going to be released sometime in 2024. Sanderson is saying probably towards Christmas. Samantha wants to read the 4 existing books. She's already read The War of Kings. She wants me to read book 2 with her. I forget the title, Warbreaker, I think. Not sure. We were looking at the Kickstarter for a leather-bound edition of that. Don't know what the price is on that, but I went to the Dragonsteel website and told her The Way of Kings leather-bound is $250. And she said, oh my God. And so neither of us can afford to buy that at this time, so we probably can't afford the Kickstarter, but she wanted me to read The Way of Kings so that we could read book 2 together. And so I have started that, and I'm reading The Way of Kings, and I'll do a video reporting on it. That's one that a lot of people have talked about. I generally shy away from things that are talked about a lot by everyone else. But let's face it, it's really, Sanderson has really changed fantasy publishing in a lot of ways through his career so far, and he's still going. So he might have more to come, who knows. But a lot of people have been blown away by his work. I should not keep avoiding Brandon Sanderson just because he's popular. I do prefer to talk about lesser known works and older works that are not being talked about. But in this case, I think I need to make an exception. Plus Samantha wants me to do it. Hey, I'm going to be here doing all these kinds of things. Come on back and see me.